Hey folks, this is Steve with Nonprofit Ally, and today I want to talk about how to generate awareness and interest in your organization. For many of us who are starting a nonprofit in our first 1, 2, or 3 years, we're emerging nonprofits. Getting the word out about who we are, what we do, and why we do our services can be a challenge, especially in larger communities. So there are some simple ways to start getting this information out to your community and even larger, out to your state or even national. So here's a couple ways to start approaching that, and these ways are affordable and they're simple ways to do this. So we're just going to start right off with the most obvious way to generate any type of awareness about any organization is through social media. So of course, get your Facebook page, get your Twitter account, get your YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is that you feel you're going to be able to use to your advantage as a tool, right? So if you have a social media account, be sure that you're posting to it on a regular basis, because you'll soon get forgotten and you will not show up in people's timelines if you are not posting regularly. So get a social media account up, make sure the name of your social media account, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, is the name of your organization, and start tweeting and using Facebook. Now remember, social media is a tool. It's not the end-all be-all, right? So don't count on social media to substitute a web page or to be able to fundraise through social media. That's like saying that you're going to build a house with only a hammer, right? It just doesn't happen that way. Social media is a tool. It's one piece of a larger puzzle. But if you want some good, easy way to get information out to people, get a social media account and use it regularly for all sorts of announcements. Now, another way to start generating interest and awareness of your organization is to start networking with other organizations that have similar services or may serve a similar population that you do. So it may be a matter of contacting the food bank or the homeless shelter, whatever it is you're working with. Make a connection with their staff, their executive directors, tell them about your programs, learn about their programs. Use it as an opportunity to introduce yourself and offer any assistance, and maybe even go to trainings that they're offering. So maybe they're offering a training how to work with people with a certain type of disability, and it may benefit you and your staff. So go there and make that networking opportunity, because then people will be more aware of what services you're offering. So again, along the same lines, go to events or any other type of related organizational meeting that may be similar to the one that you're providing. So the event may be a speaking engagement with someone from another organization. It may be a training, which was mentioned earlier. It may be a fair. It may be a contest or things like that. If it has any relation to the service or the organization that you work with, then go there and again use that as a networking opportunity. Be sure to bring your business cards, brochures, and things like that, so that when you do make that introduction, people are like, oh, I've heard of you. How do I get a hold of you? You got that business card, and you can hand it right to them and start that networking, that connection with that organization. So look on other organizations' websites, see when they have their fundraising events, see when they have a training or a speaker or anything like that. So that's another way to start generating awareness in your community. Another one that's really simple is, well, I shouldn't say it's really simple, but it's simple to start, but it takes a lot of time to generate the steady flow of this, and that is start a blog, right? If you have a website, and you should have a website, go ahead and start blogging on that site. Regular posts about not only just yourselves and what services you're providing, but maybe something informative, like proper feeding of someone who might be ambulatory, or how to provide, how to load someone in and out of a wheelchair. Like, give trainings or examples, provide useful information on a regular basis as a blog on your website, and people will start recognizing that, and they'll start seeing you as, one, more of an authority, but two, they'll be more aware of the services you provide because you're posting to your website, which people will be visiting and reading. So go ahead and start a blog. Now, another really good way to start generating awareness about your programs is to give a talk. Give a free talk. organize it with your library or your Lions Club or your Rotary Club. Go and give an opportunity to speak at a luncheon and maybe present a little PowerPoint presentation about what you do or about a service that needs that you provide, or maybe just speak as an expert on health and nutrition if it's one of the fields that you're working in with your nonprofit. So giving a talk at the library or with a club or even another organization is a great way, again, to generate some awareness about what you're doing and start the familiarity that people will have with your organization. Now, here's a really simple way to start doing the same thing, is like other people's social media pages. So if there's an organization that you are similar to, or maybe you share similar populations with, like their pages, like the national page, like the statewide page. Follow them on Twitter. Make sure you hashtag them or include them, right, in any post that you may put on that may be about them or similar to something that they're doing. So make sure you're using social media not just as a way to post your stuff, but to talk about and/or like and follow other organizations. And they'll get used to, like, hey, they hashtagged us again. Oh, okay, who are they doing? And they will start following you and learn more about what you're doing. Another way, this may cost a little money, but is to find those organizations or clubs or services out there that you're similar to, or maybe that you're complementing, right? And advertise in their newsletter or on their website, or maybe do a guest post on their website, but somehow take your information and market it through another vehicle. And that other vehicle would be another organization's website or their newsletter or something like that, where you can get some mention of your services and organization. Now, here's one that can work out really well. If you get this opportunity, never say no to the opportunity to do an interview. Whether it's, you may even get asked, right? Someone might say, hey, can you do a blog post, or can we interview you, or can we put you on the radio? Do you have time to talk about your services with our staff, right? Any type of invite like that is a great opportunity to go into somewhere else and really talk about who you are and what you do. So do interviews. Now, one way to help you get those interviews is to send press releases, right? So far we've talked about a lot of different things, and almost all of them have been free. And press releases are one of those things that get overlooked because they are free. And basically, anytime you do something in public, maybe you're giving a training or a lesson on something, or you're holding an event, or you're going to be a guest speaker somewhere, anything like that, send a press release to the newspapers, the TV stations, the online publications, whoever you can think of, and get those, the radio stations, get those press releases out and let them know that your organization is going to be somewhere doing a specific thing. Now, they may not come, the press, that is. The press may not come to these engagements, and chances are maybe they don't come to maybe 1 in 10 of them, right? So maybe they only show up 10% of the time, but it's that one time that's going to make the difference. So it's worth it to keep the press aware of every step you make publicly with a simple press release. And look up online, because there's good ways and not so good ways to write press releases. So look it up online. It's a pretty simple formula to follow. All right, so sending press releases. The other way to do something to really generate some awareness about your organization is to write an op-ed in your local newspaper. So the media is always looking for opportunities to produce content, right? So whether it's a press release, right, they can follow your event, or if you provide them the content in the form of an op-ed, there's a good chance, if your op-ed is newsworthy, timely, or about a current event, that your op-ed will be taken and put into the newspaper. So, of course, make sure you write well and have someone edit it and help you. But every newspaper has a way, not every, but most newspapers have a way for you to write an op-ed, submit it for approval, and then you can get published. And that's a great way to generate some interest. Now, here's one last way to do it. and you just may want to invest in some recording equipment and start a podcast. So this video is also turned into a podcast, and there's the Nonprofit Ally podcast. It's one way we certainly get our message out. But if you're working with people with disabilities, maybe you want to tell the stories of people's success stories or volunteer stories or new equipment, right? So you could have a regular type of podcast that could help people learn more about what you're doing and more about the services that you're providing and more about the population that you serve. So that is also another way to go about it. So there we've gone over, I think just over a dozen different ways to generate interest about your nonprofit, a good way and affordable ways to spread the word about what you're doing. I'll quickly go over those again real quick here. And I have it listed here in front of me, and I'm going to read off of this. It is 1, you can start with, oh, I did miss one. All right, it's a good thing I have this list here. The one I missed, and again, overlooked in many ways, is a public service announcement. These are generally free radio announcements. Sometimes TV will do it, and a lot of times there's the calendar of events that may be in the newspaper or online somewhere. So find your best avenues and submit your events and your upcoming speaking engagements or whatever it is through PSAs and calendar events that are often free community bulletin boards throughout the media, right? So it could be an online newspaper, it could be done on the radio, but submit PSAs, right? Those are great ways to get the word out. Now, real quick, one way, social media, free and easy, accessible, and everyone's familiar with it. Public service announcements, which we just mentioned. Contacting other organizations that provide similar services and introduce yourself and what you do so that you can have a connection with them, almost like a business-to-business relationship. You want to go to events that are related to your organization. So if someone's doing a training on something that you're familiar with, or if another organization is hosting a fundraiser, go to that. Meet the people in the community who are involved in similar things that you're doing. You can start a blog. And that's basically just maybe once a week or twice a month, write an article about something that you are an expert in or something that's related to your organization. You can give a talk at a club or at the library. You can, of course, really great way, and most people do this, follow other people's social media so you can retweet their tweets and hashtag them when you do a tweet. Advertise in other people's newsletters, do interviews whenever you get the opportunity, send press releases, which of course are great ways to inform the press of what you're doing and where you're going to do it, and write an op-ed, right? One other thing that often gets overlooked, especially in larger communities, is you can just simply put up posters and flyers throughout your community, at the grocery stores, at the coffee shops. Put flyers up. You'll be amazed. And even in the larger towns, just how effective a simple poster can be to bring people to your organization, or at least let them get familiar with your name. So when someone says the name of your organization, they're like, yeah, I've heard of you. And that's a great start. All right, well, there you have it, folks. There are a good dozen ways to try to generate some awareness about your programs and your nonprofits. I hope that this podcast, this video was helpful for you. And I hope you have a good afternoon. Thanks, folks, for watching this.